Now, say my name.
The Rolling Bad Podcast.
You're goddamn right.
Welcome to the Rolling Bad Podcast, episode number 44, coming to you from the desolate wastelands of Albuquerque, New Mexico. I'm your host, Elric Edge, and with me
is your host, Bill Costello. So you wanted two bloopers.
Yeah.
You tried to throw it back in my face.
I thought you'd jump right on in there. Oh, well.
No, I was waiting for my cue.
So on today's episode, we're going to go over our usual subjects. And then in our Fat Lore section, we'll be discussing some narrative event and campaign stuff, how to get involved with social media for the Age of Sigmar hobby. And we are also going to be having an interview with Stephen Dool, who runs the Kids Hammer at Nova. So trying to get a little extra promotion going for that because it's a very cool thing to do.
Yep, ties right into with what you were doing out there at, Adepticon running the Kids Hammer or the Youngblood event. So
Indeed. So
want to thank all of you that jumped onto our Patreon already and bought us a cup of coffee or monsters in my case. Really, it has been just an amazing response. I would never have predicted it in my life, and we will eventually thank all of you individually, but I did not build a mechanism in there to find out whether or not you wanted your name mentioned on a podcast, so I don't want to mention any names today, but I will be sending an email out to all the patrons and find out whether or not you would mind, or if you want to give us a nickname or a moniker or something like that, because we super appreciate it. You're paying for the website, you're paying for the Libsyn hosting service and all that stuff, and that's amazing. And we thank you from the murky depths of our hearts for that.
definitely.
Haven't quite hit the Lamborghini payment yet.
We'll get there.
We'll get there. Again, thank you to all those people that signed up. Super appreciate it. Now we can move on.
All right.
The Realm of the New Dawn. Well, we're going to talk about all the cool stuff that's coming out in the month of April, which is not a lot.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's pretty cool. We'll just do the big one up front.
Sure.
The
Idenith Deepkin?
the Deepkin.
Yeah, it's huge.
And it's going to be, it's the first time we gotten a release over several weeks in a while, isn't it?
Yeah.
Or did Nurgle come out over a couple weeks? I can't remember.
No, because Nurgle didn't have that many new.
Yeah, you just got
you
the
had
tree.
Swampity, the tree, Horticulus, but a lot of that came out in Blight War. So I think that was a one shot release.
So we'll be getting a few weeks of the Deepkin, which is awesome.
And those models are.
Yeah, so the video itself didn't quite do it for me. I think I started seeing like really nice pictures of the models themselves in the glass cabinets and stuff like that. And for some reason, those look better to me. I don't know why that is, but yeah, they look flipping fantastic, man.
It's and seeing them, with the close-ups now from the different product things they've been doing on the community site, those are amazing.
Yeah,
I mean, it's got me. I'll admit it right now. I went and bought the Codex, the dice, and the War Scroll cards just because I'm thinking to myself, that's something that's coming. They are amazing. And the palette that they give you to paint on is just, so you can do anything with that.
Yeah, I saw some outlet got an advanced copy of some of the models, and they posted a picture. They had built the turtle, and it was like looking down at a guy on his foot. And it was just the bare plastic. There's a really good picture of just the bare plastic. And you can see, like, man, if you're a good painter, the things you're going to be able to do with that model are going to be crazy.
Just insane.
Yeah.
How cool they look.
So, are you thinking Deepkin?
I'm not going to say, because that...
In your defense, you didn't jump on the Daughters of Cain train. So,
no, I think the models are amazing, but they don't scratch that weird place.
Yeah.
So
you look at you being disciplined.
I know. Who knew? Who knew? Maybe I'm getting old. Too old.
Nice.
But I know they're going to be awesome.
Yeah, and we've been getting all kinds of. Well, the community site has been hyping it up the last week. It went on pre-order today.
Yes.
So now that it has gone up on pre-order. People who have gotten advanced copies are allowed to actually do reviews.
Yeah.
So, of course, like instantly,
It's hitting like a ton.
yeah, lots of spoilers out there. If you want it, I mean, it's not hard to find. There's videos of people doing like page-by-page breakdowns of the book, which is really cool. We certainly have a guy in our group that he's all on with them, and so them doing a review or a preview of the book like that, he's already scribbled down the points, you know, so that he knows what he wants to buy day one,
right?
You know, so
and it's kind of important because coming up later, we're going to talk about the campaign we just started, and he's going to play Idna Thiepken for the campaign,
right?
So he doesn't want to be 2 weeks behind; he wants to be just a week behind.
Yeah, which I kind of find that interesting because not too long ago, Games Workshop and a lot of companies in that similar position would have been upset that somebody would go out and read something as important as like individual point values or leak that or whatever. But in this case, he's still going to buy the book.
That's right.
Guaranteed he's already going to buy the book. And it just got him that much more excited to buy the models and everything. I thought it's kind of interesting as opposed, you're going to have those people that sit there and try to scribble it all down word for word so they can save themselves what $40 $30. I think
that they're going to have to get somehow anyway because you need it when you go to a game.
I mean, well, unless they write down all of the rules.
Go for it.
Whatever, that's going to be such a small percentage. I'm glad that they're letting the outlets and the community hype this stuff like that. So after the Deepkin, along the AOS line, we've gotten some Shadespire releases. Yeah. Some more Khorne and Stormcast, but in this instance, for the Stormcast, it's the Vanguard
chamber.
Vanguard Chamber.
Yeah, we're bad. We're bad at this.
Vanguard Wing.
Yes.
I mean, the Vanguard Chamber guys. So the Rangers and stuff like that. Which is
and we're
really
going to see really useful bow weapons, ranged weapons for the first time.
Right. So. Only 3 of them in that little war band, which is interesting. So shooting must be fairly powerful. And then the Khorne side is... Was it more Blood Warrior?
It's Blood Warriors and a Bloodhound.
Yeah.
Bloodhound.
Would that make them the Bloodhound gang?
Yes.
Would that be a pun?
I think it would. God. You did it. You've done it.
I'm so tired. I'm going to blame it on... I'm tired. I'm sorry.
Write it down here, folks.
I'm
April
sorry,
14th.
Mom. Yeah, and it looks great. And I love the idea of having the dog.
Yeah.
Corn dog running around. And it also gives Chaos a 40-point option now.
Yes.
Because you can get that dog separate as a war scroll in Age of Sigmar.
Now you can. Yep.
Which is cool.
So you can fill out that last piece of that list.
Yeah.
So that's huge.
As opposed to the Triumph that you're always going to forget.
Yeah. You can make cards. You can put flashing neon signs in. How many people still forget those damn Triumphs?
Exactly. I think that's about it for Age of Sigmar.
It is. It is.
So for the Hobbit, well, I mean, at this point, I think we just call it the Middle-earth strategy battle game.
Sure.
Because I think that's what it's being rebranded into.
Yeah.
Are getting the Nazgul of Dol Guldur. Are these the older models being remade, or is this new kits?
They look like the older models. I don't think there's very much new, but they're being repackaged and I think updated a little bit.
Fair enough.
So, but they look absolutely gorgeous. And up to this point, if you wanted to collect all 9 Nazgul, you were going to so many different sources or eBaying the whole group. Now you can get them, in the groups of 3 and have fun with your Nazgul force because they're bad in the game. I mean, they are. Ooh, damn.
Yeah.
So, but don't run out of might. They all go home.
Yeah.
Home to Papa Sauron, and he's not happy.
Wah wah.
Yeah.
And then you got a little something you want to touch on here.
I've never seen hype like this for a set of brushes. And so naturally I got caught up in it. It's a Artis Opus. It's a new company that's come out on the scene all of a sudden. And they have gotten some very notable hobby type people in the miniatures community to demo and review the brushes. And across the board, the reviews are pretty favorable. So if you're looking to, up your paint game a little bit, there is a Kickstarter and you have to go to kickstarter.com and you can just search for Artis Opus, ARTIS space OPUS. And you'll see the set of brushes. Now, all the early bird stuff is gone already because it dropped Saturday morning. Even by the time I got up, the early bird specials were gone.
Oh,
So
wow.
you had to pay the
Is
full
it already
price.
funded?
It's already funded, yeah.
Oh,
It's-
cool.
They're
Okay.
well on their way to doing it. And they're looking to deliver in July and August. So we're not talking about something that's going to come out next year.
Yeah.
It's Kickstarter, so you're rolling your dice, moving your mice. So
Yeah.
from the sound of it and from the people, well, they have Angel Heraldez behind them. They have Striking Scorpion. They have big names behind them
That's
reviewing them. So it's not, I don't think there's some fly-by-night guys going,
Yeah.
let's sell some brushes. So
Right.
it seems like it's a nice set. It's 4 brushes, potentially 5 if you buy the extra. And it's got some of the masters or their brand of brush soap in a presentation case kind of thing. So it's a really nice presentation. So if you're looking to up your game a little bit, your painting game, it's something to look at.
All right. And then did you want to touch on your Star Wars Legion gripe?
Yeah, it's not so much of a gripe, but that could be the new Dawn stuff. I got a full set of Star Wars Legion. It's been interesting to look at so far. But for Fantasy Flight, this is the first time that I have ever seen them release one of their big box games at the big box price point that doesn't have the rules with it.
Yeah.
It has the Learn to Play booklet, but they almost always have that Learn to Play booklet, and then they have, and here's the rules, and it's all indexed, and you can just look up everything you want. But in the Learn to Play book for Legion, it's just, hey, go to our website and download this.
Yeah, that's the biggest complaint that I've heard about that game.
It's really strange because, it looks like a fun game, but we were discussing this earlier.
Yeah.
The game is going to sell because it says Star Wars.
Right.
So it's going to sell, and it's going to sell well. But I think they're at that weird point where it's not granular enough for real miniatures players, because the system is kind of a Fantasy Flight type dice pool system. And I think it's too granular for some of the very Saturday night Eurogame crowd. It's going to be something that they're not going to really want to wrap their heads around. And it's certainly not a, let's get the family and the 14-year-old and the 13-year-old together and play this on the table. So it's kind of in a weird spot. I think it looks really quite cool, and I'm dying to try it. But as you saw, I haven't even built a model for it yet.
Yeah.
And it gets, it does get those weird reviews where you can see the Star Wars fanboys are like, it's the greatest thing ever. Oh my God.
Yeah.
And then, you see other people going, yeah, it's out there. It's not going to do anything. So I don't know what to think, but perhaps we'll get it on the table one of these days when I get the miniatures built, and we'll give it a real full up review as to how it plays as a miniatures game as we're used to.
Yeah.
So-
Do a rolling bad gamer episode.
Yeah.
I do have to say that it's weird. I don't know why. It's just weird seeing Disney on the side of a box of a game that we would play.
It's, Disney's creeping into my life at every level.
It'll
It's
happen.
very scary. So,
It'll happen. So I think that's pretty much everything that's new.
yeah,
It's
it's
come
such
out
a
or coming
light
out.
month, April, which is strange because we say it's a light month because there's only one completely new race for one of the games, and there's only 2 expansions for one of the other major games in the line. So it's really kind of it's sort
nothing
of a
happening.
let down month, but it's strange. There's nothing for 40K because Drakari are already out, Necrons are out. So now we're in that pause between the next 3 books that come
Yeah.
up. So it almost seems to me like April might be the dead month in the production schedule that came during the holiday season, the November, December timeframe when lots of people are taking time off for the holidays at
Possibly.
GW. So
I don't know. I'd imagine, though, that they plan out further than
I think so.
3 or 4 months.
I
So-
would think so. It just seems so strange that all the months leading up to this have been like, boom, boom, here's a release, here's this, here's a new codex, here's a new race, here's a new thing. And you're just like, what? And April comes around and it's like, yeah, here's these 2 boxes of stuff and a new race. Which, 3 years ago, we'd have been like, oh my God.
Yeah. Now, who knows, though? I mean, next week it could be more Deepkin pre-orders, and then, they could start doing, I don't know, the Death Watch
Yeah.
book. What else was it? The Knights and Harlequins.
Harlequins.
Well, there are 3. So,
Yeah, any one of those
I can
could
start
drop.
hyping one of those right away. Which is fine by me. Get those 3 out of the way and move
Let's
on
get
to
to
orcs.
Come
There you
on.
go.
It just seems so strange that, the April White Dwarf didn't have any in your face. I mean, it led off with Forgebane, which was actually released before that thing came out.
Yeah.
So I'm like, wow, that's weird. So I don't know. I don't complain because, like you said, it gives the wallet a little bit of a rest, and
A little bit of a breathing
You know.
space.
I can catch up and dream about Idoneth Deepkin. I hate my life.
Yeah. All right. Well,
let's move it on.
move on. The Realm of Creation, where we're going to talk about the hobby we've been up to last couple weeks. I'll go first real quick, just pumping out more death stuff. I'm up to 75 skeletons. For some reason I don't have. I need 5 more skeletons. I have another 20 I need to put together. It's going to put me at 95. I need the magic 100.
Yeah.
But I'll get there. Yeah. Just been doing that, and then, as we'll touch on here in a little bit with our Path to Glory campaign that we started, I need to get my starting bit for that done, which is going to involve some Black Knights and then an Arcan. So
yeah,
I need to figure out if I need to build Arcan and sub-assemblies to paint him, or if I can put him all together and paint him. I
think
know.
isn't he the one with the skulls in the inside of his ribs?
I think all the Mortars.
Yeah.
Have that.
I'm not sure exactly
base.
on that one, but I think that might be it might be worth putting that. I don't know how it goes together, so
yeah.
If you can do that separately, you'd be able to really detail up those skulls and then put him inside that black rib cage or whatever it's called, rib cage.
Yeah,
So.
exactly. And I've been kind of debating how I want to paint my death. Obviously there's the straightforward kind of grungy, dirty aged death stuff that, I think would probably be the easiest thing to do.
Right.
But, it's going to kind of also be boring. Not that I'm really worried about that. I'm just trying to get the army painted.
Yeah.
And check boxes. I'm not
Right.
trying to win awards or anything. But there's also a part of me that kind of wants to try something a little different.
Yeah.
So I was thinking either a more icy blue type cold feel to it, or a fiery, ashy type charred bone
Ghost Rider type death.
Yeah, kind of feel. I don't know.
That's always that looks so good.
That would be. I've seen a Nagash that was painted like that, where the spirits were all fiery red and stuff.
That's got to be beautiful.
Yeah, it was really cool. So I don't know. We'll see when I get there.
Yeah, I hear you. It's so much fun to think about these things, and then when it gets time to actually do it, you're like, I don't think I want to try that.
I'd probably pay somebody to do this for me. What about you, Bill?
Okay, so for creation, for me, a lot of my creation went into rebuilding my air compressor and tank setup that I have, because it sprung a pretty nasty leak. So needless to say, I had to go out and get the parts, and then I was traveling for work. And so, one thing led to another, and it took me a lot more time than I thought to get that thing back up and running. I did manage to build 10 more Plague Bringers, so I only have to build another, 40? So, yeah, I'm good. I'm real good.
Nice.
And I did put together the campaign map using the Mighty Empires / Planetary Empires tiles.
Nice.
From GW, so that we can play on a campaign map rather than just, a sheet of paper or the Firestorm map. So we actually have options. So that took a couple of days, but it's fun. I think it's going to help the campaign a little bit, just in that presentation department.
Yeah, definitely.
And that was pretty much it for my creation. But we agreed earlier to sort of take a page from the independent characters guys. And, in the past we've said, hey, let's set a date for this particular thing and let's do it. And we've never met that. Well, I mean, we were going to do the Nagash thing, and that would have actually been during this podcast, but really it doesn't really fit into either one of our upcoming schedules.
Yeah,
what we're building for. So it makes no sense to take what little time we have and devote it to something.
We're still going to do
use.
it.
Yeah.
But right now we're kind of more worried about getting armies ready for an event in July.
Yeah.
And Nagash does not fit into either of our lists.
Armies.
So
so it's silly.
Yeah.
But what they do over there at ICs is they set quarterly goals. And we are at the beginning of a quarter. We're kind of, this is mid-month April. We have until June. We should probably maybe try to set some realistic goals for what we want to get done in that time frame. So, I mean, I know what I want to have done. I want to have the campaign map done. I want to have all of the AOS terrain that I have built painted. So that means the Warscar Citadel and those the buildings I made out of the Azerite Ruin kits, as well as couple of other miscellaneous things that I have lying around that I have built, as well as getting my death army, or my Nurgle army finished up and ready to go to Clan Carnage.
All right.
So that's going to be my goal for between now and the end of June. So did you want to set something?
Yeah. So, I mean, I'm also going to the Colorado Clan Carnage team event, and I'm taking my death. So I'm just going to be focusing on death.
Yeah.
And trying to get at minimum, a 2,000 point army built and painted. I would like to try to get obviously a little more done just in case last minute I want to swap something out or whatever. But that's where I'm at with it. So It's all death. Eventually I want to reward myself, but I also have a bunch of terrain that I need to do after that. I'm really eyeballing Drakari.
Oh.
But I'm not going to pull the trigger on anything new until I have this mountain of death taken care of. So I know I've said things like that before, but there's still some other stuff that I need to buy for my death, and it's just so much stuff that I need to.
It's coming so fast and so furious. And I know one of the reasons I buy everything like when it comes out is I'm from that time frame where if you didn't buy it when it came out, chances are you were never going to see it again.
Yeah.
Nowadays, you got to realize that, okay, so they sold out of the initial wave of witch elves. They're going to pump them out because people are buying them.
There will be more.
You don't have to huddle in a corner in a fetal position. They will be back.
Yeah.
So your death, I am Nurgle and terrain. Yeah. So we will look at ourselves in June and see if we.
Oh boy!
I know we always set these things for ourselves and then whoops. But I want to try. I want to try really hard one time to achieve a goal that I've set. I have so much hobby ADD. I look at the Necron stuff and go, oh, I could just spend a little time priming those. Well, that's all night. I could have done an entire unit of Plaguebringers in that time. So. Got to start using a little self-discipline, which is what adults are supposed to have, and I lack.
Supposed to have.
So shall we move on to battle? Because it's going to be really short.
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay. The Realm of Battle. Well, we're going to talk about the paucity of games that we played over this 2-week period. Yeah, I had a pickup game, but it was... not even in my home state, so I don't really want to talk about it too much. I used a store army and proceeded to get completely thumped. But it was, to be fair, there was a guy in the store that was like itching to play. Store owner couldn't play. We were just talking anyway, and I had a couple hours, and I'm like, well, I'll take a store army. And he really was just trying to work out his list. He was trying to work out what it did right and what it did wrong. So I was actually acting as the pin cushion, go ahead and try this. And we actually re-racked a couple of combats just because the results were statistically weird. So, we were just trying to work things out, but I don't call it a game, but it was fun. It was neat to get in there and just do something with models as opposed to what I normally get to do. So anyway, you played a game.
I did play a game, if you want to call it that as well. I played against Chad down at our local Warhammer store, which was really cool. He is working on his Nurgle list for the Colorado Clan Carnage. He's taking a Plague Cyst. That's currently what he's focused on. So I brought my Iron Jaws just to kind of mess around. And I was originally going to do a little bit of proxying and try Scooter's list from Adepticon.
Oh, yeah.
Which is Gordrak and a ton of pigs and more chanters. But I forgot to bring stuff to proxy for more pigs.
Yeah.
I don't have 18. I only have like 12 or 15 or whatever. Wasn't able to do that. I just ran like a generic Iron Suns list. Third game with the Iron Suns list. And third one in a row that I did not roll a 3-up for the -1 to hit. Yeah, super sweet.
God.
So
you haven't burnt those dice yet.
Yeah, I love those dice.
I know you do.
They're so cool.
They look much better in a pile of molten goo on the floor.
So yeah, he shot with Blight Kings. Shot like half a unit of 10 brutes off.
Oh my God.
Yeah. It was ridiculous. That's how bad my dice were rolling. And his were pretty warm.
Good.
Pretty warm. And we got into combats. and I just bounced off of him. It was
Yeah.
ridiculous. He absolutely eviscerated me with the Rend 1 on all of his attacks from the Plague Cyst.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, my whole army is saving on a 5-up.
Yeah.
You know, and Blight Kings just have so many attacks.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, he smashed me like it was nothing. And the Maw Crusher, even tooled up as he was, still wasn't enough to. It sounds crazy, but like he just doesn't do enough damage.
Mm-hmm.
It sounds weird to say because like you look at his profile.
Yeah, he's a damaged monster.
Yeah,
but...
it's like all he does. But you know, you get stuck into a combat where you just don't quite have enough punch, and I don't know. It makes me curious about like a double Maw Crusher list potentially, but I don't know.
It's one of those things where, you know, the Maw Crusher does an amazing amount of damage on his own. He's capable of dealing out so much, but he's going up against these newer units that are just as capable and a lot of places more resilient than he is.
Yeah.
So he's on the back foot, you know, against a unit of 10 Blight Kings. He's going to be hard pressed to wipe.
Yeah, well, it's also 40 wounds to chew through. They
Yeah.
heal. Now, you know, that's another thing is like you roll for that unit. If they roll a 6, you know, they can heal themselves.
Yep.
If they roll a 6 for me, I take mortal wounds.
That's right.
It's just like, and then the wheel can heal them.
Yes.
And
There's
like,
just so
holy
many
cow.
thing, and you know, it's like we've said it before. It's a generational thing. He came out before this new power level was sort of established, and you know, it's the thing with all destruction. They haven't seen.
Yeah, and I really thought the Brutes would tear through Blight Kings because of the 4 wounds. They get
Right.
rerolls on all their stuff, and I was like, sweet, I would think this is a favorable matchup for me. And I would charge in with them, and they just bounced, man. They were not doing the damage I was hoping. Even if you run in and do like 11 wounds after all the saves and everything, that's only 2 Blight Kings that are down. There's
And
still
then
8 more.
With the potential of them coming back.
Yeah, it's just like, damn. And then the piggies just don't, you know, the 4s and 4s with no rend on the pigs, you know, it's a lot of attacks that just don't seem to get through. I mean, you know, I know my dice are kind of notorious for not performing, but yeah, it was a rough game, man. He smacked me down pretty hard. So I think we're going to continue focusing on the Plague Cyst for him and seeing if there's little tweaks that we might be able to make with it. I know he really enjoys it, which is awesome because, you know, Chad likes more themed lists. Yeah. You know, he tried an all, oh God, what are they? The big flappy vampire beast dudes. Vargeists.
Oh, yeah.
He did a Soulblight army that was all Vargeists, like 18 or 20-some Vargeists or whatever. It looked cool on the table, but God, it was terrible.
Just does not work.
Yeah, because, you know, they have no survivability.
And they have no wound output.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I mean, they hit hard. They got to get there. There's been rumors for AOS 2.0 or whatever this new iteration is going to be that all the units that charge go first, like in 40K.
Like 40K.
So maybe something like that. If that was a rule, it'd be a little more effective.
It's going to make destruction armies a heck of a lot better.
Yeah.
That one rule change will change destruction as an allegiance, because most of them are designed to get in and scrap with you. Yeah. And, you know, your Iron Jaws having the ability to go first all the time, not have to worry about that order and doing it exactly the right way. No, that's huge.
Yeah.
That's huge.
I wonder what it would do for Brayherd, because that whole army can run and charge.
Yeah. Well, anybody that has run in charge is going to just increase in value to huge.
I mean, this is all speculation.
Yeah, we have no
total
idea.
rumor. We don't have any kind of inside track or none of that. We could totally take it with a truck of salt. So, but anyways, yeah. So he was really he's interested in the Plague Cyst, lots of Blight Kings. He likes the models. He likes converting them up and stuff. So, I don't think it's like a top tier army, but in something like the Clan Carnage, which is a team event, you can kind of pick and choose your matchups a little better. I think his team will do well to have that with him, and
you'll be able to hold your own.
In
almost any game.
And Nurgle is good. Just everything out of that book is good.
Yep, it's hard to pick a bad list.
Yeah,
I'll do it, but it's hard.
So good times for him. And that was the only game I am potentially going to play a game with Andrew, after we're done recording here.
Nice.
I don't know what we're going to play, because...
Sigmar, maybe?
Well, yeah, Sigmar.
Oh.
But I know he wants to, like, test out some Vanguard chamber stuff. But all I really have is my Iron Jaws. I don't have enough of my death stuff yet built.
Pincushion time.
Ugh.
Just count the arrows as they go by and in.
I hate playing against Stormcast with my Iron Jaws. But the Vanguard stuff might be different, you know. It's a little squishier.
But they'll also keep you at a longer arm's length as they kill you before you get there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting.
And they'll zip away when you get close.
Yeah,
That's going to be the key is you'll get close to one, you'll have overcommitted, and they'll just be somewhere else.
Yeah.
So that's going to hurt.
And I don't know. I don't know how many Paladors he has, but Paladors don't suck. I know they tend to get overshadowed by Dracoths.
Yeah.
But yeah, Paladors are pretty
they're
tasty
a thing.
too.
Yeah.
So, but yeah.
All right.
The Realm of Lore, where we're going to have our interview with Stephen Duell coming up at the end of it about the Kids Hammer at Nova Open. Bill also wanted to talk about narrative events and campaigns and also how to get involved with the social media aspect of the AOS community. So let's talk about the narrative events and campaigns subject that you wanted to delve into.
This has been a subject that's been getting bigger and bigger, especially since we're setting up a Path to Glory campaign out here for our club, our group. And, you know, even this morning when I told everybody that, you know, we're going to be using narrative rules for these games. So no rules of one. We're going to use 2,000 points as the baseline for armies, but that's because we have to have, you know, points in order to figure out the schedule for the campaign, what we're adding, and, you know, when we get too big and we have to split the forces and what have you. And you know, I still got that kind of look from people. No rules of one? What is that?
Yeah.
No, we're going to play narrative games, which are not your beat face, make your best, oh my God, list. Your list can have 7 battle line units, and it can have 1 battle line unit. And yes, you can have, well, you can't have 2 Nagashes because it says that, but you can make those crazy combinations that you can't do in match play. And so the only thing I really wanted to touch on this was the idea of, you know, look into maybe not playing matched play all the time. And I know there's a lot of groups out there that play narrative games using all the matched play rules.
Yeah.
And I know you found this once where we played a narrative game with Seraphon versus Iron Jaws. And at the time, Seraphon hadn't had their GHB 2017 upgrades. So on paper, that game should have been just laughable as you murdered every lizard.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah.
And,
I'm remembering.
But yeah, all of a sudden it turned out that now they use their magic the way they're supposed to. They do all the things they're supposed to do. They don't have to just cast this spell one time. No, I can take your War Chanter out by hitting him with 3 smites in a row.
Arcane Bolt.
Yeah, Arcane Bolt.
Yeah, there's Arcane Bolt spam.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And that look on your face was kind of priceless.
I was like, no!
Damn you, first turn taker.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. It's an option.
You're getting dangerously close to that open play stuff there.
And I don't...
That's deep water.
I don't feel that that's in a controlled environment where you have people that know what they're doing.
Right. We're
I
all
can't
on the
see
same page.
Where open play is such a... Why is it bad?
It's funny because, like, when you and I play 40K, we play power level, open war cards.
Right.
That's, like, the closest to open play. And, like, I'd be totally down for doing whatever on the 40K side. Like, for some reason, for 40K... I could totally wrap my head around crazy narrative open play. Yeah. I have no real interest in, like, the minutia of match play, competitive stuff. It's like the total opposite for Age of Sigmar.
Yeah.
The open play aspect of Age of Sigmar scares the crap out of me. And I think it's because there's so many armies out there that can just spam spells and units and it can get out of control so fast. For something like our Path to Glory thing that we're getting ready to do, we're all on the same page.
Right. And we've made those agreements. You know, we've actually established that this is how we're going to approach it.
Yeah.
And so we've had that social contract, if you will, that no, I'm not bringing 87 Skyfires because I can.
Oh, that's why I was saying at the table when we were all talking about this, we all decided to go with start collecting boxes.
Right.
And moving forward from that point. And I'm going to do the Skeletal Horde.
Yeah.
Which includes Arcan, the black. And I ran that by you guys. I was like, well, then do you not want me to do this? Because at games that small with start collecting boxes, Arcan is going to be fairly bananas.
Yeah.
And he will be that way for quite a while until we're all closer to like full on armies. And, of course, my other option is I could take like a Vampire Lord on Zombie Dragon, which doesn't exactly suck either. But yeah, Arcan is a little, especially if we're doing, open play
or narrative play.
Yeah, with
no rules
of one and all that stuff. I can sit there and just mash for damage. I don't necessarily want to do that. I'm obviously I'm going to play to win.
Sure.
But I don't want to sit there and ruin anybody's. I want this thing to succeed.
Yeah.
So.
And that's the thing is I think everybody that's involved right now is of the mind that some of these games are going to be harder than others. Some of them are going to be crazy. And we're going to see where different things are more powerful in that setting than others. Yes, Arcan and that list is going to be crazy good. But by the same token, we're also going to be able to use those War Scroll battalions that are in the getting started boxes.
Yeah.
And some of those are crazy. And they do make up a lot of ground for some of those boxes. So, it's just, I think we'll all be on that same, nobody's going to be out there just going to try to ruin it. I don't think. Because the group they're all of the same idea. We all want to have a good time and not just, tank this thing for the sake of tanking it. So.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited about it. It gives me extra motivation to get the army done for Clan Carnage.
Well, that was kind of the idea, was to keep us all, focused and motivated on something.
Right.
So what we're getting at here is, think about other things. If your gaming with your club or your group is getting a little stale and it's not where it used to be, think about mixing it up a little bit. Think about a narrative campaign where not all those rules apply. And like I said, or as getting at before, there's a lot of groups out there that play narrative campaigns, but they use the match point rules. So the rules of one, all the limitations thereof. Yeah, that's fine, and if that's how your group is getting along well, but think about trying the other way too, because it's gonna open some people's eyes. And I think it takes the training wheels off of AOS. It's where, some of these things like Tzeentch are gonna just go off scale high because they're tough in match play where they can only cast things once. When they're doing this stuff 3 and 4 times or as many times, it's going to get ugly.
Oh, that's what I should have done, to start collecting Tzeentch Demons box.
Yes, because no one would have thought you were...
Wow. Yeah, exactly.
I think I'll put that message out in the chat later. I've decided to switch. I'm going to start collecting Tzeentch because I have 2 of those boxes.
There you go.
Yeah, no, let's not. But anyway, that's all I just wanted to mention real quick was, think about the narrative play side of things maybe a little bit more. It's easy enough to just do a scenario here and there or this, that, and the other thing. But, try these campaigns. Try this different stuff. You might find something fun.
Definitely.
But the real crux of the lore that we wanted to talk about this fortnight, is the social media side of our hobby. And I got a little bit of feedback from the last show. Some people were talking about how, they don't go to Gen Con anymore because it's not for gamers anymore. It's for companies and representatives and dignitaries, and these people from Geek and Sundry and these YouTube channels with millions of views. It's for those people. It's not for the guy to walk in and go, oh, I'd like to pick up game of this. Yeah. I'm sorry, are you on the press list? No, you can leave now. Okay, wow. But it got me thinking also that, and some of the comments I did get, and one of the questions I got was, I understand how great a time you had at LVO, and you were kind of talking about hanging out with Chris Peach and hanging out with these other amazing painters and what have you. And I had to answer that one immediately, and I was at work, and I don't ever answer those kind of things at work, but I had to because it was in my mind. And I was like, I went to LVO as just a dude. Just a guy that plays a game. I don't have some special press pass or something.
Right.
All I did was walk up and talk to these guys. And yes, I know Paul Murphy from Forge the Narrative. I only know him through Andrew and through some communications we've had, on the internet a few times.
Right.
But we also share a common interest. And I'm able to walk up to that guy and say, how you doing? Oh, great. Let's go have a beer. Okay. So we went and had a beer or 8, and it's the same thing with everybody else in our hobby. There's no one that I've ever heard about that puts themselves on a level that makes them unapproachable.
Yeah, no, that would get shut down pretty quick.
I mean, you'd be a
community.
pariah in the industry really quick. And you were talking about Adepticon with the guys from Facehammer who were just, they're just guys.
Yeah, super approachable. All these big names in the community and stuff
are
they're just dudes there to play a game and roll dice and have fun.
When we talk about if you want to learn how to play an army, listen to Facehammer.
Right.
Because these guys are above us in scale.
In skill.
Right. But they're also just, 3 dudes that get together in a bedroom to record a podcast.
4 guys.
4. Oh, sorry. Yeah, you're right.
I don't think they get together in any one of their bedrooms.
Well, you never know. They might. Okay, that might have come out way wrong. Yeah. And for that, I do apologize, guys. But really, they are just 4 dudes that get together.
They put the plastic down on the sheets, and then they all get together to record.
I am so getting beat up. Oh, they're going to hurt me because they're all taller than me. Anybody's taller than me. But anyway, my point is, how did I get to know the guys in those rooms that I was talking to and hanging out with who are notables in the hobby? How is it I know Chuck Moore? And I could walk up to Vince Ventrella if I wanted to and just say, hey, dude, how do I know all these folks? Well, it's because I've been talking to them for years on the internets. And of course, I did get that comment back on another tweet was, that's all fine and good, but most of these people, you can't contact them directly. And I'm like, I don't know of any of them that don't have their Twitter address. And of course, the thing I got back right away was, well, I don't know how to do that. Well, I think in this show, what we need to do, I'm not going to tell you how to get a hold of, Paul Murphy or Vince Ventrella or something, but there are a lot of people out there that don't know how to get on Facebook and find these groups. They don't know how to get WhatsApp and WhatsApp doesn't have a really useful search function for different chat groups. Yeah. You kind of have to know how to do this. And that's
you have to get invited into chats and stuff like that.
So what I want to kind of cover today was how you start getting involved with all these different groups and how you can start name dropping like we do, so.
Well, not necessarily name dropping, but you could totally get in touch with these people.
Exactly.
And they're all really approachable and want to help the community.
I've never had anyone shut me down when I asked them a question that was reasonable for their... I've had them tell me to go away and shut up when I've asked them questions about, other things, but it's usually because it was said tongue in cheek. But we're going to start off with Twitter. Everybody should know Twitter. It's really kind of easy.
Yeah.
You go to twitter.com, you register, and all of a sudden you're a thing on Twitter. We always give you our Twitter address at the end of our podcast, and it's in our show notes. And there's very few podcasts I've ever listened to where they don't give you their Twitter handles. And you can look through their show notes and usually find all that information. And that's how once you're in Twitter and you type search at Elric Edge, it's going to come up with a box that shows Elric Edge, weird hobby guy from Albuquerque. And you can just immediately follow him from then on. More often than not, he'll follow you back because he's weird like that.
Yeah. I also don't look like Graham McNeil. I just have. Or Gav Thorpe, sorry.
Okay.
It's just a profile pic that I have for trolling.
Oh, boy.
But, yeah. Anyways. And if you're one of those people that's like, well, I don't do that social media kind of thing, I get there's a lot of people that don't want to get down on social media because it also has a bit of a stigma with it.
Sure.
But you can look at it this way. You can jump on Twitter and then just follow like a dozen or so people. Mm-hmm. And then your Twitter feed stays real small. It's all focused solely on the hobby. So it's easier to find out what these people are doing, when they're posting their updates and stuff like that. It doesn't have to get political. It doesn't have to get, you can totally, that's the beauty of Twitter for me, is that it's like, think of Twitter, if you're not on Twitter, this is how I could best describe it to you. Think of it like an online forum that you can curate to focus specifically on what you want.
Yep.
So if you just want Age of Sigmar hobby stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And only people that are going to post pictures of their updates and not, tear each other apart and stuff like that.
Yeah, and how much they hate the current administration in Zimbabwe.
Yeah. Or even just people that want to go on rants about the game and be negative about the. You can just not follow
Filter
those
that
people
stuff out.
and it'll stay out of your feed. It's super handy like that. Twitter. It took me a long time to get on board with Twitter. And even after I did, it took me like years, really until we started doing the podcast, for me to embrace what Twitter was about.
Yeah.
And I'm glad I have.
Yeah.
Because, for what it offers. So I would say out of all of the ones that we're going to talk about, except for maybe Instagram is probably the most hands off.
Oh, yeah.
But Twitter is really, really easy.
And you do moderate it yourself.
Yeah.
You can turn off anything you don't like.
You can mute people. You can block people.
And even if someone retweets something that you don't like, you can just mute that section that you don't like, leaving that other person free to talk about their hobby and everything else. But when they repost someone that you don't agree with, you won't see it.
Right.
So
let's
there's a
swing
lot of freedom.
Completely to the opposite side of the social media
Yes.
pendulum with Facebook.
Yes, because they're not in the news at all.
Yeah. Facebook is...
It's a double-edged sword.
Yeah, I like it because... I like it... So we'll keep it to the hobby aspect. I like it because you can create pages for different things. So, for example, we have a page for Rolling Bad. It was originally meant to just be for like the local gaming group Rolling Bad. It has since branched out to people from all over the world are part of it.
But Ryan's going to fix that soon. So.
Yeah. So we'll have a separate Rolling Bad page for the podcast. And then, we'll still have the one for the local group. But if you look at like Texas, huge state, each city has like a Facebook page. So Dallas has an Age of Sigmar page, Houston, San Antonio, Austin, and it allows those people to not only kind of help organize their local area, but allows those local areas to communicate with like, so if Dallas is doing something, the guys in Houston can keep an eye on it in case they want to travel back and forth. And that's how we here in Albuquerque stay a part of the community, is because we can see what's going on in Tucson and Phoenix, Denver, Dallas, Oklahoma City, all these different
all
things.
The places that are
is because of Facebook pages like that. Now, again, I understand that a lot of people don't like Facebook for various reasons. And that's fine. Yeah. I would suggest doing the same thing on Facebook. You could even create basically a total dummy account that's focused solely on hobby. You don't, stalk your old high school girlfriends and stuff like that. Yeah. I mean, you can. Nothing's stopping you.
It's out there.
It's out there. She's moved on. Don't worry. But then you could just like the pages that focus solely on what you want. Yeah. You can talk directly to those people and just deal with that. That is the beauty of these social media things, is that just because your name is Bob Jenkins doesn't mean you have to set up a Facebook profile as Bob Jenkins. You could be, I don't know,
Hobby Killer 457.
Yeah. And just go around to the hobby pages and like those and follow what's going on. So,
and you can stay. None of these places require you to post. You don't ever have to say anything. All you can do is follow what all of these people are doing
and see the picture hobby updates. Got to be really careful about some of the pages you join. I will say that about Facebook, because one moment you might be talking about how you weather a tank, and the next moment you will be listening to people defend Nazis. So there is a very thin line on some of these pages for that discussion. But
some of them are really well moderated.
Absolutely.
Though,
you can also get into discussions about the meta rules, see just kind of what people are thinking and things like that. That to me is the beauty of Facebook.
Yep.
And you can stalk
stalking your high school girlfriends.
Right.
The one thing I will say about Facebook is the shining example right now of two that I can think of right now are the Independent Characters Facebook page for their podcast, which they moderate with an iron hand. And the minute that you start getting off the hobby topic or you start having vitriol for vitriol's sake, they shut you down immediately.
Yeah.
And so when you go there, the only things you're reading are really cool hobby things and seeing great pictures of stuff that people are working on. And no one's tearing each other down. No one's talking about, the Raiders playing the Broncos. You're not going to see that stuff in there. You're going to see stuff about the Warhammer 40K hobby and miniatures in general. The other one is like the hobby hangout that CK Studios does for painting. And it's another incredibly well-moderated. Cat moderates that thing along with some others so that if someone puts a model out there and asks for feedback and your first comment is, wow, that really sucks. No, nobody's going to see that because you know what? If you want to say, I think it needs work on the following areas and I think you should edge highlight better and maybe you should do this technique better, that's acceptable.
Yeah.
If your comment is, it sucks. Yeah, sorry, you're not contributing to the community in any way.
Right.
So look for those kind of communities that are heavily moderated. And I mean, I'm in quite a few of them. And there's some communities that are really well moderated and there's some that are just free-for-alls. And you just tend to mute the free-for-alls after a while and get disinterested.
Yeah. I'll just leave those ones.
Yeah. You don't need to see that stuff. But it is out there and it is available and you don't need to be afraid of it. And the other thing you got to say about Facebook is every company under the sun has a Facebook presence. So if you want to find out what's coming out from Badger, what's coming out from Mears Miniatures, if you want to find out what's going on at Fantasy Flight or any company, that is usually their number one place where they put their goings on. So if anything, Facebook, like I said, is a double-edged sword.
Yeah.
But as an IT professional, I will tell you this right now. If you're worried about your privacy on the internet, you're 10 years too late because your stuff's already out there. Don't worry about it. Don't lose sleep over it.
Yeah. Equifax has got you, fam.
Yeah, exactly. And, you're already part of Cambridge Analytics. You're already part of all these things. Don't sweat it.
Might as well jump in and get a little hobby feedback before.
That's right. So next we're going to move on to Instagram. And Instagram is another one of those that you sign up for. And Instagram is designed to almost solely be used from your phone or tablet.
Yeah.
Every part of the interface for that, it is available from your desktop, but it's of no real value because it's even hard to put a picture on Instagram from your desktop. It's 1 or 2 clicks from your phone. It's nearly impossible from the desktop.
So Instagram, out of all of the social media apps or whatever that I use, I use it probably the least, and it took me the longest to get into, but it's really nice because it's like Twitter, but pictures.
Right.
So if you're really into just hobby technique and seeing just gorgeous pictures of hobby, man, Instagram is definitely the place to go. And it's one of those that you don't even have to get in on comments, nothing like that. You just find a page you like and their stuff will just start showing up in your feed. Don't like it anymore, take it out of your feed. I mean, it's that simple. And yeah, you just see gorgeous stuff. Some people will put up like step-by-step walkthroughs, things like that. Yeah, I mean,
it can be amazing, and there's almost no interaction whatsoever if you don't want to.
Right.
You can do everything you want without ever having to say a word that you're there. So
Exactly.
It's the same thing, and I left it off the list, but it's the same thing as Pinterest. Pinterest is a lot more ad-driven, and there's a lot more advertisement that's thrown at you during the normal. But a lot of people put their stuff up on Pinterest. And one of the nice parts of Pinterest is, let's say you're into 40K Death Guard. You can type that into the search bar on Pinterest, and you will see nothing but pages of 40K Death Guard amalgamations that other people have already done. Yeah. So you don't have to go searching through the whole site for all the Death Guard stuff. All these other people have done it, and all you have to do is follow that, and you will see everything that they pinned.
You can dig through their collections.
Yeah, exactly. And it makes it really, you can really drill down into some crazy, you can go down rabbit holes you probably don't want to go down, but I mean, you can, if you're into Death Guard painted in a certain scheme during a certain period of the Horus Heresy, I guarantee you there's a Pinterest already done for it.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
Yeah, but Instagram and Pinterest are kind of like you said, they're photo based. They're mostly images and imagery.
Which is great sometimes because sometimes they give you a little inspiration,
One of my
really
Pinterest boards is nothing but Seraphon stuff I've collected over time that I would love to one day be able to duplicate.
Yeah. And then there is WhatsApp. So WhatsApp is an interesting form of social media. It is basically just a chat room. I know a lot of the British guys use it.
Right.
As opposed to Americans. Americans like Facebook.
Yeah.
The Brits like
WhatsApp.
It's just a chat room.
Right.
And there are different chat rooms for everything. I mean, there's one for Stormcast Eternals, Death. There's a new one for Ideneth Deepkin that we've all been sitting around speculating what's coming out. There's different ones for different gaming groups, things like that. Now, generally, you have to be invited into these groups, but it's not as clicky as that might sound.
Right.
Really, all you would do is jump on like Twitter. You're going to have to generally find another form of social media to put out the call.
Yeah.
And say like, hey, I'm really curious what people are saying about Iron Jaws. Is there an Iron Jaws WhatsApp chat?
Yeah.
And then somebody will hopefully send you a link.
Yes.
And then you jump on and boom, you're in there.
Yeah.
Now, caution for WhatsApp. When you get into a chat, your phone number will be put up for everybody to see.
Yeah.
So if you aren't comfortable with that, that's something to keep in mind.
Yeah, you're right about the WhatsApp. I think the overall goal of that app is not so much to be, a chat group, but it really is a meetup type app without the meetup functionality of setting meetings and all that stuff. But it is to, keep people in touch with you, at every level. And so, your phone number is out there and you have to know that that's part of it.
Yeah.
And there's a long standing rumor / thing that WhatsApp, if you have WhatsApp on your phone, it allows people to take control of your phone. Well, that's not exactly true. Every manufacturer has fixed that particular issue. So WhatsApp isn't dangerous.
Yeah. And it's, I'd say as far as like getting instant responses, for a conversation, WhatsApp is probably the best for that.
Yeah. It's followed closely by Twitter, but WhatsApp is very, very good.
Yeah. And then, one that's similar to that you don't have on here, but is basically the same thing as like Facebook Messenger.
Oh, yeah.
If you're on Facebook.
I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, I mean, because we have something like that. We have a Facebook Messenger chat room for like for the Rolling Bad people.
Yeah.
And then like people who are close to us and stuff for hobby.
Yeah.
Things like that. So that's also another great way to communicate. I talk to other TOs and stuff.
Yeah.
Through that.
And there's, like if you go to Facebook and you search for the NEO group, the Narrative Event Organizers, you're going to find the Facebook page for it and you're going to find all the links to that stuff. And, once you get into it, it's a simple matter of saying, hey, can I get into the NEO WhatsApp group? Sure, come on in. What do I do to get, the NEO stuff on Twitter? Well, use these hashtags, blah, blah, blah. And it's no one, I've never run across anyone that was exclusionary, except insofar as there are some exclusive groups out there that are just dedicated to one thing. You're not going to get into the Nova Open Organizer Committee chat.
Yeah.
Because you're not on that.
Right.
Chances are you're not on that.
Yeah.
I don't want to say that. Mr. Brand, if you're listening, I apologize. But, so there are exclusive groups out there, but usually they're dedicated to a simple thing, an organization.
Very specific type of thing. Yeah.
And you probably don't want to be there anyway.
Yeah.
So all these different social media outlets, the biggest takeaway from this is no one is exclusionary that I've ever seen. And they really are great resources to find friends around the world. Because not everybody is next door to you. Some of these people are in England. Some of these people are in Australia. Some of them are in Germany, China, Sweden, Finland, all those places. So it's a great way to get yourself and your thoughts and ideas and your faith known so that when you do go to Adepticon for the very first time, it's not just going as, oh my God, what am I going to do? It's, I've got to meet Mitzi and Jimbo in 20 minutes, because we're going out to this. And you will be in that in crowd because you're already there. You know what I mean?
Yeah, kind of. And you'd be surprised how many people are, like, well, my name is such and such. And people are like, oh, okay. I'm so and so from Twitter. I'm at so and
Yeah.
so. Like,
Oh, I know you.
yeah. Cool.
So yeah, there's just so many avenues, and yes, there is stigmas to Facebook and Twitter, and Twitter's for 20-year-olds and Facebook is for 90-year-olds, and blah blah blah. Forget all that crap. If it works for you,
Yeah,
use it.
they are excellent tools that can help you do some great things with the hobby. Yes, they can spiral out of control
Sure.
if you want them to, but you can also keep a pretty tight rein
Yeah.
on it and keep in touch with the stuff you want.
And the beauty of it is if you're reading the latest novel from Black Library and you want to ask Aaron Dembski Bowden what he meant by that little statement right there, you can jump on Twitter
Oh, yeah.
and say, Aaron, what was that all about?
Exactly.
And, chances he's either going to tell you or he's going to say, I'm going to leave you to guess that one. So, but you're going to get a response. You're going to get some feedback.
Yeah.
And,
all the Black Library guys are on Twitter, which is super cool.
And just about everybody is. John Bracken, the event organizer for Games Workshop, is all over it.
Yeah.
The Warhammer TV people, Siri's on there, Duncan's on there, Chris Peach is on there. If you want to ask Chris Peach, why did you do that thing on yesterday's video? He'll tell you.
Oh, one of the really cool things is some of the heavy metal painters are on Twitter,
Yes.
and you can ask them the actual recipes
Yes.
they've used to paint the models, and they will break it down.
Yep.
I used a 5-to-1 mix of this, and then a 5-to-2 mix of this, and then shaded it into. I mean, it's like these crazy in-depth chemistry recipes of how they painted these models. It's really cool, and they're super open to talk about it.
Yeah, and nobody's playing I Got a Secret with this stuff.
Yeah.
If you've just watched Warhammer Weekly and you want to ask Vince Venturella what that was all about, ask him.
He'll probably link you to one of the videos that he did explaining it, so that you don't have to figure it out 280 characters at a time.
Yeah,
You can
exactly.
watch an in-depth video. And if you do run across somebody who wants to be super secret about it and not play nice or whatever, you don't have to follow him.
Yeah, move
you don't
on.
have to interact with that guy.
That's
you can
right.
find plenty of other people.
Yes, you can.
That's
still
the beauty of it. It's
mute
not
people and
Yeah.
shut them off. But now we have to get to that weird side of the social media thing. There's that time-worn
unsolicited dick pics.
Yeah, well, you don't want those either, but
Don't you?
that's a Chad thing.
Oh. God, if only that guy listened to this show.
Oh, I know. I wish.
Well,
But
he knew how to turn on the internet.
I was going to say, if he could turn on his phone, he'd be dangerous. Oh no, he can turn on the phone. That's right. But there is that thing out there. There are the trolls out there. There are the people that are going to go on these different groups, and because of the anonymity the internet gives everyone, or even maybe no anonymity, but they feel like they just have a soapbox to stand on.
A keyboard between you and them.
Yeah, you will get some comments and some statements that are just designed to elicit a response from people. And you have to understand what's going on. And don't rise to it. Don't jump up to it, because you can get a reputation just as easily as you can get a good reputation in the social media. You can get a bad one much, much quicker.
Well, and again, you can curate your own feeds
everything
and
you
everything.
see.
So it makes it that much easier. If you do find out that somebody is a troll, you don't have to listen to them anymore.
That's right.
Stuff like that. So,
I mean, there are some guys that have political views that I find to be exactly opposite to my own that I still follow because I like the way they hobby. I like the way they do things. But I can get rid of all the things that don't appeal to me that they put out there. They call it, there's a simple term for it. You'll see it around a lot. Don't feed the trolls.
yeah.
It's just not worth getting into a political argument with someone who's 8 miles away or 1,000 miles away when chances are you're not gonna fix the world on Twitter, I don't think. And you're not gonna change someone's views.
You could very likely end the world on
Well,
Twitter.
Okay, maybe that was a bad example. Really, I mean, the takeaway from all of this stuff is don't be averse to trying the social media stuff. It may seem daunting at first, and it may seem kind of crazy. The people you see on YouTube and the Duncan Rhodes and the Chris Peaches, they'd never answer anything I send to them. No one I've ever met in this hobby, like I said before, has ever put themselves in a place to be unapproachable. You hear it on every podcast. Hey, we're going to be at this convention. Come on up and say hi. Part of the reason that we do podcasts is because we're all sort of narcissistic, and we kind of like that when people come up and recognize you for what you're doing. I think most people are like that. And once you start to get to know people in and around the hobby, you end up with a hell of a lot more friends than you think you have, because we all have a like-minded interest in this group.
Yeah.
Anyone who's listening to this has a serious love for the hobby or an interest in seeing stupid people fail at podcasting, but that's probably just a thing. And I may have made it sound like this on the last episode, that some of these cons are cliquey and that people hang out with people they know. I think that's one of the things I said. We go and we hang out with the people we know. What I meant was we know everybody there. So we hang out with everybody, because there's very few people in this hobby that are that cut off. So there's no problem with walking up to somebody. Hey, Carl Tuttle's walking through the hallway and he's independent characters and they have, 100,000 subscribers. You can't talk to that guy. Bullcrap. Walk up to him and say, hey, dude, I love your show, man. Yeah. Chances are he's going to stop and say, well, thanks, man. That's awesome.
That's what I did with Ricky Addington from Forge the Narrative. I was like, hey, you're Ricky, huh? He's like, yeah. And I just sat down and we had like an hour and a half long conversation.
Yeah, exactly.
So super cool.
Mm-hmm. So give it a try. You probably will like it. Just, be careful when you're online and, keep hobby chats to hobby and leave the other stuff for other venues. Because most of the times, the fastest thing that will get me off a Twitter thread is when it gets into any country's politics or any area's religion. Will just force me to go click. Don't even want to see it no more. So just don't be that guy. And you will find that you have thousands of friends around the world that you just haven't met yet.
So Bill, the Pope said there's no hell.
Well, isn't that special? I wonder what made him say that. Satan? Yeah. I'm leaving that in, too. Oh, I do love it. Yes, watch your triggers when you're on social media. So I think with the narrative stuff covered and with our little social media expose covered, I think we'll probably kick in. You want to do the interview with Steven?
Yep.
Okay, so we'll do a quick interview with Steven, and then we'll be done. So now, as we promised earlier, we're going to have an interview with Mr. Steven Duell. He is the guy responsible at Nova Open for running the Kids Hammer events, and with Elric fresh off of his running the Youngblood event at Adepticon, I'm pretty much going to back out and let these two talk about how cool they are. So, Steven, you want to go ahead and intro yourself?
Yeah, hi. Well, thank you for having me on the show again. I appreciate the chance to come on and talk a little bit about kids and wargaming, particularly what we're doing at Nova, but also I want to hear, as you say, what the experience was at Adepticon with the Youngbloods, and maybe just talk a little bit about, kids gaming in general, where it stands now with 8th edition 40K now blossoming, and, where we continue to be with the AOS scene. So thanks again for having me.
It's a pleasure, really.
Definitely.
So Eric, I got it. I that's really what I want to hear. So I hear you got into the glamorous and lucrative world of kids wargaming running. So
yeah,
did it live up? Did it live up to expectations? Or I heard it was a big success. So kudos for your involvement in it. But maybe give us. I'm curious about the details of how it went.
It went really well, actually. I mean, there was only 6 kids, so it wasn't a huge thing. So I was able to keep an eye on that.
That's great.
And also,
that's great.
Yeah. On the GT, but yeah, I mean, the kids came to play, they stayed focused on their games. Some of them were a little slow, so I had to kind of stay on top
chess
of it.
Clocks.
Well, not chess clocks, but yeah,
that's the answer to everything, right?
Yeah, but I had to keep saying, you guys have an hour and a half left, you have an hour left, you have 45 minutes left, just to kind of keep giving them that sense of urgency, like this is a tournament, and therefore we do have time limits. If
you don't finish this round now, I'm turning around this car.
Yeah, exactly. So, there weren't a whole lot of questions. The kids were really respectful to each other. It was awesome, and I was really happy to see it.
Yeah,
so.
Well, that's kind of been my experience too. I mean, I think people think of younger gaming and they think, oh, it's going to be completely out of control. But actually, my experience has been the kids are more focused on the game and more in the zone than sometimes a lot of the adult gamers I've played with, which is kind of surprising. But it has been my experience too. So were you running? Remind me, at Adepticon, were you running AOS or 40K or both? Or
No, I just ran the Age of Sigmar stuff.
you ran the Age of Sigmar?
Yeah.
Okay, so there was no 40K Youngbloods. It was just
Yes,
It was,
there was a 40K.
Oh, there was a
version.
40K
It was
one,
the
but that
next
was
day. I had no idea how many kids were in it or how it went or anything. So
because that's kind of the unknown for me this year is that we're doing 40K in addition to Age of Sigmar at Nova Open, and I've always was reluctant to get into 40K with the kids, particularly in 7th edition. But even with 8th, I think it's just a little bit more complicated in army building and list mechanics for the kids. But given so much interest that we've gotten in 40K in the kids group, I figure we just had to open up that as an option too.
That's awesome. I mean, yeah, I could see how it would be a nightmare in 7th edition to do it, but in 8th does have some complexity, but I think just as long as you look over everybody's list real quick before.
And if you're going with power level, you can,
And we are doing power level because I just didn't want to get the situation saying, "Oh, sorry, kid, your list is invalid because you're 5 points over because your board has a power fist."
You forgot the bolter with the
So power level does make that a little simpler. I mean, I'm kind of took a complete guess as to what would be the appropriate power level to get games, as you say, or to finish on time. We decided on 75, which I think, hopefully we'll be able to, get the games finished in time. It's going to be an experiment, but I think it's, last year was an experiment too, and it was an enormous amount of fun for me. And I think the participants too. So, it's every year should be, I think you got to go into everything, trying to do something new because that's what really, grows the hobby.
Definitely.
So we had 6 kids, which I think is actually really good because, I told, the people who are, running AOS and really Nova as a whole that, kids, the kids Hammer event is always, is going to be a long-term, return on, on the investment of time. It's probably not, right now the knee of the curve of the demographics, but I think 6 is great. Did they have a Youngbloods last year?
No, this was the first year, and it was kind of put together last minute, from what I understand. So it didn't get a whole lot of hype behind it. So I would imagine if we were able to talk about it on the show leading up to it, and other people, the other outlets also were able to hype it, I'm pretty sure it would have been far more than that. I think next year they're shooting for like 24.
Well, I would love to hype it up too. I mean, I think there's certainly a mutual interest for anyone who's running kids, tournaments, and I hope there's more people, not only at Adepticon and Nova, but at any other serious gaming group or gaming convention. They'd also consider doing some youth gaming. They can decide what age they want to call youth gaming, but anything that gets the next generation a place to play and a taste for what the game and the hobby has to offer. I think that 6 is great for that, and I'd love to hype it up for next year if they do it again.
Oh, I'm sure they will. Yeah, and it's really nice too that it kind of at a young age it allows you to help the kids with like tournament etiquette. This is something like we always talk about.
Right.
You always hear it on all kinds of shows and things like that, and how important that social contract is, and when you can get them young like that and let them know, here's some of the basic do's and don'ts, so that when they do get older and start jumping in to the older scene, they're not a bunch of a-holes.
Yeah.
They're not that guy,
They're not me at a tournament. So.
Yeah, you can walk around the hall a little bit and just like point out, see that guy? Don't be that guy.
Yeah, don't be him.
That guy that's moving his models really, really slowly.
Picking up his hits.
Arguing with his opponent about the half inch of movement he just took.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. No, I mean, it is. The kids pick everything up really quickly, and it's funny. To me, the biggest thing is just getting them to control their dice, because kids that playing war games like craps table. I mean, they're like throwing them across the table, like bouncing them off. See how it's like, guys, just drop the dice, and pick up your old dice so you're not getting mixed up with the stuff that's already on the table. I mean, to me, that was like the biggest part of day one of Kids Hammer last year, is like dice control issues. Because seriously, I mean, they're like, no snake eyes, no snake, and they're like, bouncing across the table. So yeah, I mean, it's glad to hear it was a success, because I'm a little, nervous this year with Nova, because having had last year, my expectations are, a little bit higher, than last year was kind of like, oh my goodness, I just hope this works and it's not a complete disaster. This year it's like, I want to build on what we did last year and take it further. So far the numbers coming out, great. We're great. The day one, we already sort of hit almost 60% of what we had last year on first day of sign up. Numbers have tailed off a little bit since then. So I definitely want to go out and get the words to tell people. And first of all, anyone who's going to Nova already and you have kids in the 10 to 15-year-old range and you want to make it a family event, by all means, this is a great way for the kids to be able to share the con experience with their parents. We did have several people last year who said they came to Nova because they were able to make it a family trip. And I would love to see that happen more. We'd love to have, if you want to come and play with the kids during, Kids Hammer, play some games there. That's great too. If you want to just, have them play while you're off playing in whatever event you signed up for, that's great too. We had a lot of success with both of those options last year. So first of all, the message go out to anyone who's already planning to come to Nova. Think about, whether your kids want to play either 40K or AOS. The great thing about it this year is that you don't have to really track it. You can decide to come in and play AOS in the morning of Saturday and then play 40K in the afternoon or vice versa. You do have to sort of choose which route you're going to do in the tournament because obviously we can't have AOS armies fighting 40K armies in the tournament. But
that makes sense. What kind of age range are you looking for entrance into the Kids Hammer event?
I think 10 to 15 is sort of our target range. On the upper end of that, I think once you become 16, you can pretty comfortably play in the GT and play with adults. On the lower end of that, kids beyond 10 oftentimes have hard time focusing for a whole day. That's necessary for getting through a con. But that said, I've had kids younger than 10 who were laser focused the whole time and were perfect candidates. So if a kid is younger than 10, but you think he or she can, stay focused for a day of rolling dice and playing games, then, by all means sign them up. But I do ask in that case that maybe, a parent be around just to help if there's, some staying focused or controlling impulses and stuff like that.
Right.
But 10 to 15 sort of for us at least is the target range. I think what was Youngbloods? I think the cutoff there was a little bit older, I think, wasn't it?
No, it was 15 and below.
It was 15 too? Okay.
Yeah.
So we got the great tournament standardization there. So I think that's ITC rules, right? Isn't it?
Yeah.
I think Kids Hammer, and the cons, I hope it's taking off. I hope, that, now, Adepticon's doing it, Nova's doing it. I don't know whether LVO will pick anything up in the future or, Warzone Atlanta or any of those other War Games Con or any of the other cons will involve a kids game. I think it's pretty easy actually to add it on. It's really not, I think, you're not right now probably talking about a huge additional space commitment and the terrain and everything you can use just as in for the normal gaming. You just need to find the people, like Elric or other people who are willing to give the time up on the weekend to be around. Did you do it? Were you all on your own or do you have other people helping you?
When I did the Youngbloods?
Yeah, when you did Youngbloods.
Oh, it was just me.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
So you were that.
And I did that.
That's actually,
I did that while I was also answering questions in the GT. Doing like judging.
That's impressive. It's like I try and get like a adult for basically not every table, but at least every other table, just because I find that there's a lot of rules questions that come up, from the kids, and it's good to have someone very close by to keep the game going. But if you were able to do that, you had a good group of kids. What was the youngest kid What was the youngest?
Oh, geez, had to be like 9 or 10.
Okay.
There was a couple kids there that were pretty young.
And they all brought their own armies?
Yep. They all had their own
and
armies.
Did you have a painting? Were they all painted or did you care?
They were all painted, but there was only, I think, 2 of them that had painted their own armies. One of them was a 14 or 15-year-old who painted a Khorne army, and it looked fantastic. I was really surprised by that. So, did you have a painting award there, or did you just do it?
Well, yeah. So we gave out like certificate type things for painting, sports, and overall, maybe first, second, third. I think it was first, second, third, and then sports and paint.
Yeah, I've always been conflicted about how much to put emphasis on placement in the kids event, because on one hand it definitely is a motivating factor for them, but the other hand I don't want them to get fixated on the I got to win mentality, and I don't know. I mean, last year we did do first, second, and third prize, but you gave a certificate, right? That's what we did.
Yeah. It was just a basic printed out thing.
Yeah, not like cash prizes or anything.
No.
Yeah, $1,500.
Well, we did give along with the certificate was like models and stuff like that. There were little prizes like that. We weren't cutting no checks or anything.
No, and that's we disagree with that in any.
Yeah,
format,
I'm not a fan of cash prizes for tabletop gaming.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you're not the PGA, that doesn't really,
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's like we gave also, Nova was very generous in prize support last year too. As a matter of fact, I think what the kids walked away with was more than what their ticket cost for the weekend. I don't think we're going to be able to do that again this year, but they still definitely, everyone will come away with some free models, and the cost of the event was priced so attractive that basically you got your convention pass free for it. It came out to like $40 for 2 days of gaming, which includes the con pass. So and some models as well at the end of it. So I think the pricing is very good.
Yeah, it definitely sounds like it. And again, it's a thing for the adults to think about. It's a lot easier to convince the significant other to go to a con like this if it's a destination for the family rather than just, hey, let's go watch daddy play some games or mommy play some games. Having that ability to have, the whole family involved in some aspect of this, it's a huge door opener, I think.
Yeah. No, I mean, anytime you get to spend time with your kids, even if you're just at the same, even if you're not just playing together at the con, but you're at the same con, you can still experience it together and spend time. And DC, I'm going to talk up Nova aspect of it is that you're right here in the nation's capital. If you are in the general East Coast area, it's probably not too hard of a trip to make, but probably have not had the kids outside of maybe some school trips come and see the monuments and the things there are to see in the Arlington Cemetery and the Air and Space Museum and all the things that DC has to offer too. So you could really make it a family trip. I'm trying right now to reach out to most of the local area groups, primarily because it is easier for the kids. It is Labor Day weekend, which is always, tough for kids and families because a lot of times with young kids, they have beach vacations and stuff. That was something we ran into last year. We had a good turnout last year. I'm hoping, and it looks like we're going to get a strong turnout, at least what we had last year, if not more, this year. And, as I say, I think the bigger years are down the road for it as, I'm watching more and more of the people in our gaming group starting to having children and their kids growing up. I think there's going to be a time when you're going to have a fairly large number of gamers who are still wanting to play, who have kids in that 10 to 15-year-old range, and to be able to offer them something at the cons is, I think, really going to be important. For one, keeping those people gaming, but also what's it going to be for the down the road. I mean, I think the reason why Warhammer is having so much success right now is based on the youth that were people who were playing it when they were kids in the 90s and early 2000s and are now playing it again or kept playing it. And the question is that still happening? Are you still seeing kids going into the game store and picking it up on their own, or do we need to be a little bit more proactive in sharing our hobby with them? I look at the new models coming out and they're absolutely gorgeous, but they're also, I think, a little bit intimidating in terms if I was a 10-year-old or a 12-year-old, buying a box of them and trying to put them together and get them painted up. It's not your old Space Marine that you can, slap on, with a dry brush, slap on a base coat. I mean, if you try and do that with some of the Ideneth or the Daughters of Cain, it's much more, it's wonderful. They're beautiful models, but it's a lot more complicated than what it was, back when they were making them out of pewter or lead.
Yeah. The good old days. Yeah.
Yeah. No. The good old days of hazardous materials in your gaming hobby. But
I keep trying to think about what was good about the good old days, but
some of the sculpts are really good. I props up to the old Citadel. They had some really good sculpts back then.
Oh
too.
yeah. No, they've always been
we don't
want
to digress into that.
So, I mean, you've kind of covered the dates. Nova Open is
September,
Labor Day weekend. So.
Yeah, it's August 29th to September 2nd with Kids Hammer on the 1st and 2nd of September.
Right. And people can get tickets for the Kids Hammer event right from the Nova website, correct?
Yep, absolutely. And I would encourage people, if they could, to sign up in advance rather than just register at the door, because obviously, an event like this takes, a lot of coordination, a lot of planning. So the further I know in advance how many people we can be there, I can get a better, make sure all the tables are there and everything is supported. There's also, like we did last year, a painting hobby tutorial. We have Sean McAfee, Brush for Hire, is doing that. And he's a very talented, very approachable artist. And he's, I think will be great having the kids learn a little bit about painting as well. So it really can be like a whole weekend boot camp, for them, and they can go right on, buy tickets now and give me an idea of how many numbers to prepare for, and we'll make sure that the kids have an absolutely fantastic time.
That's great. That's awesome. I'm looking forward to. I'm going to Nova this year, so I'm really looking forward to seeing how all this stuff goes.
I mean, the AOS side on Nova is just really dynamic and alive right now. I think there's so much energy in that group that I'm really lucky and proud to be able to coattail off of them, because the the narrative folks and the GT folk, people running those events, just are really top notch people. And I can tell you just, the amount of traffic going on WhatsApp and the Facebook pages of them, throwing out ideas and, just making the event better and better. I think it's going to be, just for AOS in particular, I think it's going to be a fantastic year to be at Nova. I think, they sold out the narrative. I don't know where they'll be able to make more spots available, but that's pretty amazing for an AOS narrative to sell out this far in advance of the con.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome. I'm super stoked about that. That's what I've signed up for. So I am.
I think AOS as a whole, we were talking, I think just seems to be having, went through a little bit of a lull after 8th edition dropped out, but it seems like there's a whole lot more energy again to the community in 2018.
Well, now that there's releases.
Yeah, there's supporting it again.
Yeah, that always helps. That always helps, doesn't it?
Yeah, the year-long drought was not a great thing.
I guess it's the problem of success is, there's still only so many people in Nottingham and they have to pace it out. But I'm really glad to see OS, getting the community, getting GW's attention again.
Yep, it is really nice. It's really nice. So
it's going to be interesting though to see it, because again we're going to have a general handbook drop right around the time of the con. So it's going to be interesting to see what changes that brings for it. But Kids Hammer, I think unless it drops a good month or so in advance, we'll continue to use the existing rules, just because I don't want to try and do a term turnaround. I know that the other events are going to go use whatever the new one is, but the Kids Hammer I think needs a little bit more. He doesn't want to have anyone have to redo their army at the last minute.
Yeah, that's probably a little too much to ask.
So thank you again so much for having me on, and I really appreciate you letting me get the word out, and anyone who is in the area and can come to Nova, that's and especially get the words out for kids coming and playing Nova. But anyone, I would also encourage, if you play in a local group and you have an interest in getting kids involved, it's really not that hard to do. Shoot me an email or or go on. I'm sure we can leave you information from me. Or go to kidshammer.org, the website, and just get in contact with me there, and I'd be happy to help out any way I can of helping you get that started.
That's outstanding, and we'll put all your contact information up on the show notes so that people will know how to reach out to the Kids Hammer page and to you, so that maybe we can see more of this stuff cropping up at different events.
Yeah, I really think it's going to happen. I mean, I really just can see this happening. I don't know whether we're a little bit ahead right now, but I definitely see this happening. I think it's a great thing for us and for the game and for the community. So fingers crossed they keep having successes like Young Bloods and Kids Hammer.
Yep,
definitely.
It's the future, and if we don't start thinking about it now, we'll be in it and wondering why it's not cool. So,
yeah, because we are so cool. So we don't want to lose that.
We really are. We get all the good chicks. So
that's So, well, thank you again so much for having me on, guys.
No problem. Thank you, Stephen, for taking time out of your day to talk about this. We really appreciate it.
Thank you, and good luck with the event.
Yeah, I'm going back out to the 80 degrees now, Washington, D.C. weather after it snowed last, 5 days ago. So it's like that wonderful yin and yang of Washington weather. It's spring, it's winter, it's spring, it's winter, summer.
Yeah. All right. Take care, sir.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I want to give a quick shout out to the NashCon event that is coming up. Usually we have David Griffin on to do a quick thing, but apparently we're not good enough for him for that.
He was too busy with Warhammer Weekly, so.
Yeah. No, I'm just kidding. He had a really busy day going to a wedding, so.
Oh, the poor guy.
But I told him that we would definitely talk about the event, get the information out there. So the NashCon is in Franklin, Tennessee, just south of Nashville. It is June 2nd and 3rd 5-game event with General's Handbook battle plans with schemes as hidden secondary objectives, which is something that he's been doing with NashCon for a while.
He sort of pioneered that,
Yeah.
the scheme thing, so that's really cool.
If you're curious what that is, it's basically you play standard mission out of the
Mm-hmm.
General's Handbook, but you will also have a secondary objective that's given to you as a card. Sign-ups are right now. They are on pace to surpass last year's total.
Sweet.
They're looking to get up to 50 players this year.
Nice.
So
they'll hit a major.
Yeah. Well, it's not an ITC event.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Gotcha.
Just not that really changes anything, but it is still going to be a large, very sizable event.
Yeah.
And I have not been to NashCon, but I know Vince from Warhammer Weekly is looking to get over there, and a lot of big names will be at that event. And from everything I've heard, David puts on a pretty solid show.
Yeah, it seemed like it was a pretty good deal last year.
Yeah.
So everybody raved about it.
So if you can make it to Tennessee in June, make it to NashCon.
For sure. Because it's just south of Nashville, so how bad could that be? I mean, there's a lot to do in that town.
Yeah.
So. Sweet. All right. Well, that's cool. I love it. And hopefully we can get David on either just before or maybe even just after and talk about.
Definitely. So we want to thank Stephen Duell for coming on, talking about the Kids Hammer event at the Nova Open. Hopefully you enjoyed the show. Everything we rambled on about there.
Yeah.
So.
We do that.
It happens.
Yeah.
And next episode, hopefully we'll have gotten some hobby done.
Yes, that
played
would
some
be
games.
huge, wouldn't it? Well, we better have because we have Randy Fest coming up. So we'll have to do
Smash Randy's
some-
Butthole Con.
Yeah. I hadn't heard that moniker, but if it's appropriate, use it. So we'll be up next time we record. We'll probably be up in Durango.
Oh yeah. So are we going to record on site again?
Probably. I think we'll probably do it. We'll work it out with Ryan so that we can figure that one out. So, because I'd like to include him, and it might be nice for us to go up there for a change. So, since we'll be there anyway, might be cool. So,
Excrement.
All right, we're done.
That's the show.
And now for something completely different.
Whenever you're ready.
Welcome. Oh.
I was watching.
Yeah.
Plus, I wanted a booper.
Oh.
So,
You excrement.
are really powerful. Like, Zinch is just going to go off scale high. That was the dog flapping his ears. I apologize.
That sounded like a brutal fart.
Thank you, dog. Try to hit that thought point again.
That chick is going to be at one of the Comic Cons.
Oh, yeah?
The lady that played, Jeannie.
Jeannie? Barbara Eden?
Yeah.
Yes, I think I saw that.
I was like, oh my God.
She's spent a lot of money to age well. So
I'm down with that. She's got to be 80 something.
Oh, it's gotta be.
Because that show was on in the 50s?
No, 60s.
60s? Was it 60s?
60s and 70s, yeah.
Even then, I mean, the 60s are 50,
Yeah, we're
50
still
some years.
talking 60 years
maybe
ago.
she's only in her, or maybe early 70s? Mid 70s? That's not too old. She still looks good.
I know, yeah, she's aged quite well.
Don't put that in the
Hashtag still recording.
Don't put that in the podcast, Bill.
What about the bloopers?
Oh, hell no. Hell no.
Okay, I'll take that out, but this section's going in. So everyone will know you said something, but
Something
they won't know
horribly offensive. Yes. Ugh.
Well, if it makes anybody feel better, I thought it was funny. So
Well, yeah. It was a joke,
it was.
which means that it was meant to offend somebody,
That's right.
apparently, because that's...
Well, that was really horrible.
Oh, you're always complaining!
I'm going to go ahead and scrape my eyeballs out of my skull.
No, don't do that.
Oh, my God.
Well, if you feel you have to.
Oh!
Well, sir, I have got a silly walk.
Yeah. You want that? Oh, yes, that's good. Now go away.
You see, Marnie, this is what people are like.
Yeah.
Not like the humans that you own. We were thinking the other day, what would he say if he could say stuff? And my first response was, humans are great. Everybody should own one or two. because he does own us.
I saw a thing that was for the longest time, I always wanted my dog. I always wish my dog could talk. And then I remembered all the shit that he's actually seen. I was like, oh.
I'm so glad he can't talk.
Yeah. Oh, God.
Yeah. The peanut butter where? Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, God, I hit record. Whoops. Okay, that's not going in anywhere. Okay, deep breath, game face. You're killing me, Smalls.
No, that's all you get. I'm sorry.
Come on, Pop, don't beg.
That's all you get. I'll give you a carrot.
Yes, well, that's the sort of blinkered Philistine pig ignorance I've come to expect from you non-creative garbage.
Yeah, that was potentially the worst example ever. But, yeah, so, okay.
Mission accomplished.
Oh, thank you, you orangutan. Okay. Anyway, yeah. So,
What do you want?
That'll be the show.
yeah, 4 hours of stuff I have to cut out.
Oh, God.